I trusted Jack with everything. We had been best friends for 3 years, sharing lunches, family events, and career advice at our prestigious marketing firm in Chicago. The major promotion I had been working toward was finally within reach, a life-changing opportunity that would validate all my hard work. But lately, Jack seemed different when we discussed it. His smile never quite reached his eyes, and his encouragement felt hollow. Something was off. Jack subtly questioned my approach in front of the team, something he had never done before. "I wonder if we should consider a different demographic target." He suggested, his tone helpful, but the effect undermining. The numbers from the Henderson report seemed to contradict this strategy. The Henderson report had not been distributed to our team yet, which meant Jack had accessed information outside normal channels. My background was nothing special, raised by a single father in a small apartment in Cincinnati, putting myself through state college by working nights at a 24-hour diner. Every step of my career felt like pushing a boulder uphill, but I was proud of earning my position through merit rather than connections. That all changed during the Thomson Electronics crisis project. Our team was pulling 18-hour days trying to salvage a campaign after a product recall, and that is when I first met Jack Wilson. He had just transferred from our Seattle office with glowing recommendations. While everyone else was fraying at the edges, Jack maintained his composure, offering solutions instead of complaints. When I mentioned staying overnight to finish a presentation, he immediately offered to stay and help. "No one should have to face these deadlines alone, Dane," he said, rolling up his sleeves. We ended up ordering pizza at midnight, swapping stories about our college misadventures while finalizing the slides that ultimately saved the account. From that night forward, we became inseparable. Jack lived just 3 blocks from my apartment, and our weekend fishing trips to Lake Michigan became sacred ritual. "Dane has always struggled with the technical analytics," Jack was saying. "Remember the Parkson presentation? That was actually my data framework he used." I froze, heart pounding. The Parkson framework had been entirely my creation, something I had spent weekends perfecting. Jack had only reviewed my final slides. The next morning, I confronted him directly. That is what made the eventual betrayal so devastating. The opportunity that would change everything appeared 8 months ago. Patterson landed the Horizon Telecommunications account, a Fortune 500 giant with marketing budgets larger than our entire existing client roster combined. Someone would be promoted to senior account director to lead this career-making account, and my name was at the top of the list. Amanda Porter, our division head, called me into her office on a rainy Tuesday morning. "Dane, your performance reviews have been exceptional," she said, tapping my file with manicured fingers. "When the Horizon position finalizes next quarter, I want you to know you are the front runner. Keep up the strong work." I floated out of that office, immediately texting Jack to meet for lunch. At the corner bistro we frequented, I shared the news over sandwiches. "That is fantastic," Jack said, raising his water glass in a toast. "No one deserves it more." But something flickered in his expression, almost imperceptible. A tightness around his eyes that vanished so quickly, I convinced myself I imagined it. This promotion would change everything, I explained, calculating aloud what the salary bump would mean. I could finally help my dad retire early, maybe even put a down payment on a place instead of renting. Jack nodded enthusiastically, but then asked, "Which clients would you bring to the new position? Would you take Westfield Insurance with you?" The question struck me as odd. Westfield was my biggest existing account, but its relevance to the Horizon opportunity seemed minimal. Still, I detailed my thoughts openly, never suspecting I was providing ammunition for my own downfall. Over the next few weeks, I noticed subtle shifts in our dynamic. Jack began taking longer lunches with senior management, including Amanda. When I would stop by his desk to chat, he would minimize his screen or flip papers over. Twice I overheard him on calls that abruptly ended when I approached. "Just checking in with a vendor," he would say, smile not quite reaching his eyes. During our weekly strategy meeting, I presented campaign concepts for an existing client. Jack subtly questioned my approach in front of the team, something he had never done before. "I wonder if we should consider a different demographic target." He suggested, his tone helpful, but the effect undermining. The numbers from the Henderson report seemed to contradict this strategy. The Henderson report had not been distributed to our team yet, which meant Jack had accessed information outside normal channels. When I asked him about it later, he claimed Amanda had shared it with him directly, just trying to stay ahead of the curve, you know. The first concrete evidence something was wrong came 6 weeks before the promotion decision. I had forgotten my phone charger and returned to the office late one evening. Most desks were empty, but the light from Amanda's office spilled into the hallway. As I passed, I heard Jack's voice followed by my name. Instinctively, I slowed. Jack subtly questioned my approach in front of the team, something he had never done before. "I wonder if we should consider a different demographic target." He suggested, his tone helpful, but the effect undermining. The numbers from the Henderson report seemed to contradict this strategy. The Henderson report had not been distributed to our team yet, which meant Jack had accessed information outside normal channels. "Were you talking to Amanda about me last night?" A flash of surprise crossed his face before his features composed into concerned innocence. "Yes, but not how you are thinking. She was asking about potential weaknesses they might probe in your promotion interview. I was trying to help prepare you by identifying areas they might question." His explanation seemed plausible enough that I doubted my own suspicions. Was I becoming paranoid due to promotion anxiety? Jack doubled down on supportive behavior after that. He forwarded articles about leadership, offered to role-play interview questions, and vocally praised my work in meetings. The whiplash between my suspicions and his apparent friendship left me disoriented. "You seem stressed lately," he observed one afternoon, placing a coffee on my desk. "Dane has always struggled with the technical analytics," Jack was saying. "Remember the Parkson presentation? That was actually my data framework he used." I froze, heart pounding. The Parkson framework had been entirely my creation, something I had spent weekends perfecting. Jack had only reviewed my final slides. The next morning I confronted him directly. "Is everything okay with your dad?" The genuine concern in his voice made me feel guilty for doubting him. I shared that my father had been experiencing more chest pain, adding to my stress about the promotion timeline. "Family comes first," Jack said firmly. "Maybe you should take a few days off to visit him. I can cover your presentations." Looking back, I should have recognized the calculated offer for what it was. When I pointed this out, Jack backpedaled smoothly, claiming he had mixed up his notes from different meetings. But the damage was done. I had wasted valuable preparation time on irrelevant material. During the weeks that followed, I noticed Jack scheduling meetings with Linda and Marcus, my two biggest clients. When I asked about it casually, he explained he was just getting background for a case study he was preparing. Yet neither client mentioned any case study when I spoke with them next. The morning after Jack met with Linda, she called with concerns about our social media strategy, questioning approaches we had agreed upon months earlier. "Jack mentioned there might be more innovative options to consider," she said. Similar conversations followed with other clients, always after Jack had met with them privately. Colleagues began making strange comments that set my nerves on edge. During lunch, Taylor from Creative leaned over and asked, "So how does it feel competing with your best friend for the promotion?" "What do you mean?" I asked my sandwich, turning to ash in my mouth. "Oh," she looked uncomfortable. "I thought you knew Jack was being considered for the Horizon position too. Amanda mentioned both of you were in the running." This was news to me. When I checked my presentation files before a major client meeting, I discovered subtle alterations to key data points. Numbers had been transposed, making projections appear less impressive. The changes were small enough to look like honest mistakes, but significant enough to raise questions about my attention to detail. After 3 weeks of mounting evidence, I finally confronted Jack directly in the conference room after hours. "What is going on?" I demanded. "Are you undermining me for the promotion?" His face registered shock that seemed genuine. "What are you talking about? I have been nothing but supportive." "Then explain why you are meeting with my clients behind my back. Explain the changed files and the misinformation." Jack stood slowly, his expression morphing from surprise to wounded dignity. "I cannot believe after everything we have been through you would accuse me of something so petty. Is everything okay with your dad?" The genuine concern in his voice made me feel guilty for doubting him. I shared that my father had been experiencing more chest pain, adding to my stress about the promotion timeline. "Family comes first," Jack said firmly. Maybe you should take a few days off to visit him. I can cover your presentations. Looking back, I should have recognized the calculated offer for what it was. He attended my 32nd birthday, charming my father with tales from his own small-town upbringing. I helped him move apartments twice and was his wingman when he met Shannon, who later became his fiancée. When my father had his heart scare last year, Jack drove me to Cincinnati and waited in the hospital for 2 days straight. That is what family does, he told me, refusing my thanks. You would do the same for me. And I would have. My suspicions intensified when Jack suggested I focus on revamping the Weber account before my big presentation to Horizon executives. They were really impressed with the healthcare angle in the meeting yesterday, he advised confidently. The problem, the Weber account, had nothing to do with healthcare, and the Horizon meeting had focused entirely on telecommunications infrastructure. Then I found a section titled Horizon Strategy, with a date from 5 months earlier, well before Amanda had mentioned the promotion to me. My blood ran cold as I read bullet points in Jack's meticulous handwriting. Phase 1, position as Dee's closest ally, become information source. Phase 2, identify key client relationships to target. Build independent connections. Phase 3, subtly highlight Dee's weaknesses to management while appearing supportive. Phase 4, create minor file discrepancies to raise competence questions. Phase 5, leverage personal information to generate sympathy from management. The following pages detailed my client relationships, my presentation style weaknesses, and even personal information about my father's health, with notes on how these could be leveraged. Most disturbing was a page titled Dee's Vulnerabilities, listing personal insecurities I had shared during our fishing trips, with strategies to subtly trigger each one. I sat alone in the conference room, physically ill, as 5 months of gaslighting crystallized into undeniable betrayal. Every shared confidence, every late-night conversation, every vulnerability had been cataloged and weaponized. The friendship I treasured had been a tactical operation from the beginning. That night, I did not sleep. I replayed 3 years of friendship, questioning every interaction, every seeming coincidence, every time Jack had happened to meet important people in my network. Had any of it been genuine? The foundation of one of my most valued relationships disintegrated, leaving me questioning my judgment about everything. The morning of the Horizon presentation arrived. Despite my sleepless night, I arrived early to prepare the conference room, only to learn that Jack had already met with the Horizon team for pre-meeting alignment at their hotel. They requested it, Amanda explained, not meeting my eyes. Something about clarifying deliverables. When the executives arrived, it immediately became clear the presentation parameters had shifted. They asked questions about international market applications I had not been briefed to address, while showing little interest in the domestic strategy that formed the core of my presentation. We discussed the Asian expansion focus this morning. The Horizon CEO mentioned casually, looking confused when I appeared surprised. My carefully prepared presentation fell flat despite my best efforts to adapt on the fly. When Jack presented immediately afterward, he smoothly addressed every concern raised during my portion, presenting data that directly answered their new priorities, making him look like a mind reader while I appeared unprepared. After the executives departed, Amanda gathered our team. Both presentations had merits, she said diplomatically, but Jack really seemed to anticipate their needs. I will be considering both of you for the position with a decision next week. The elevator ride down with Jack was excruciating. He maintained his supportive facade, offering sympathy about the sudden change in direction, as if he had not orchestrated it himself. That evening, I sat alone in my apartment with a bottle of whiskey, contemplating quitting rather than facing the humiliation of losing the promotion to Jack after his systematic betrayal. Around midnight, I called my father, something I rarely did with personal problems. After listening to my story, he was quiet for a long moment. "This Jack fellow played dirty," he finally said. "But you have always been too trusting, Dane. The question is, are you going to let him take what you earned? What choice do I have? He has poisoned the well." "You have the truth," my father said simply. "And if you really want this job, you fight for it, smart, not emotional." "You have evidence, right?" His words cut through my self-pity. Yes, I had evidence. I had photographs of Jack's notebook documenting a premeditated campaign to undermine me while pretending to be my friend. I had email records showing file modifications. I had the altered presentation files with tracked changes. Instead of drowning my sorrows, I spent the night developing a strategic response. This was not about friendship anymore. This was about professional integrity. Jack had made it a competition, but he did not realize I had stopped playing by friendship rules. The next morning, I methodically documented every instance of sabotage I could prove. I recovered accidentally deleted emails from server backups showing Jack had accessed my client files without permission. I compiled a timeline demonstrating how client concerns always emerged after private meetings with Jack. Rather than confronting Jack directly or gossiping to colleagues, I scheduled a meeting with Amanda, positioning it as a discussion about team communication concerns rather than personal accusations. When I arrived at her office the following afternoon, Jack was unexpectedly waiting inside. I asked Jack to join us, Amanda explained, since this involves team dynamics. The ambush was clearly Jack's doing, but it actually worked in my favor. His smug expression showed he believed he had outmaneuvered me again. "Thank you for arranging this," I said, calmly placing my folder on the table. I wanted to address some concerning patterns that affect our client relationships and team integrity. For the next 30 minutes, I methodically presented evidence of Jack's systematic sabotage, keeping my tone professional and fact-based. I showed the notebook photographs last, letting Jack's own words reveal the premeditated nature of his actions. Jack attempted various deflections. First, denial. "That is not my handwriting." Then minimization. "This is just competitive analysis. Everyone does it." Finally, counter-accusation. "Dane is clearly fabricating this because he knows his work does not measure up." With each attempt, I simply presented another piece of evidence, another timeline inconsistency, another recovered email. Amanda's expression shifted from skeptical to disturbed as the pattern became undeniable. "I had concerns about certain inconsistencies," she finally admitted, "but I had no idea about the extent of this." Turning to Jack, she added, "We will need to continue this discussion with HR present." Jack's facade cracked completely. "You cannot seriously believe this," he snapped, abandoning his friendly mask entirely. "Dane has always been the golden boy around here. Some of us have to create our own opportunities." His outburst confirmed everything the evidence suggested. Amanda placed him on immediate administrative leave pending investigation, apologizing to me for not recognizing the situation sooner. 3 days later, I was officially offered the Horizon account and promotion. Jack was transferred to our Dallas office after a probationary period, his promising career trajectory at Patterson permanently derailed. Several colleagues apologized for doubting me when I had raised concerns earlier. The victory felt hollow at first. I had gotten the position but lost what I had believed was a genuine friendship. Trust does not recover easily from such calculated betrayal. The promotion brought new responsibilities and challenges, but the personal aftermath proved more difficult to navigate. For weeks, I found myself second-guessing every interaction, analyzing innocent comments from colleagues for hidden agendas. The camaraderie I had once enjoyed at work felt tainted by suspicion. "You seem different since the promotion," Taylor observed over lunch one day. "More reserved." I admitted the truth. Jack's betrayal had shaken my faith in workplace relationships. How could I trust anyone when someone I considered family had systematically exploited my trust? "Not everyone is Jack," she said simply, "and you cannot function by assuming the worst of everyone." She was right, but translating that intellectual understanding into emotional reality took time. I began seeing a therapist, Dr. Winters, who specialized in betrayal trauma. Our sessions helped me understand that Jack's actions reflected his character flaws, not my poor judgment. "Manipulators target trusting people," Dr. Winters explained. "Your capacity for trust is a strength, not a weakness, but it needs to be paired with healthy boundaries." Those boundaries became my focus. I began distinguishing between professional friendliness and personal vulnerability, sharing appropriately in each context. I remained cordial with colleagues, but reserved deeper confidences for those who had proven trustworthy over time. My relationship with my father strengthened during this period. His straightforward wisdom provided an anchor when my professional identity felt unstable. We spoke weekly, and I finally took him on the fishing trip to Alaska I had promised for years. "You are doing good work," he told me one evening on the boat. "Not just at the job, but on yourself." 6 months into my new position, the Horizon account was thriving. I had rebuilt relationships with clients who had been confused by the contradictory messages they had received during Jack's sabotage campaign. Most appreciated my honest explanation without excessive details, and our work together improved without the undermining influence. Within the office, I implemented changes to foster healthier team dynamics. I created a structured mentorship program, pairing junior staff with seniors outside their direct reporting line, providing guidance without competition. The transparent feedback system we established helped prevent the kind of behind-the-back criticism Jack had weaponized. Perhaps most importantly, I found new authentic connections. Not replacements for what I had thought I had with Jack, but different relationships built on mutual respect and professional admiration first, with personal connection developing organically rather than as a strategic tool. My team celebrated when we landed Horizon's international expansion project. During the champagne toast, I realized I was genuinely enjoying the moment without scanning for hidden agendas or calculating who might be plotting against me. Progress happened in these small moments of renewed trust. The lesson I carry forward is not that trust is foolish, but that it must be earned incrementally, rather than given unconditionally, in professional settings. I watch actions more than words now, noticing the alignment or disconnection between what people say and what they do. Jack taught me the high price of blind loyalty, but I refuse to pay the higher cost of cynicism. Trust with verification has become my approach, allowing for connection while maintaining healthy skepticism about too perfect presentations of character. There is freedom in this balanced approach. I no longer exhaust myself trying to be liked by everyone or sharing vulnerabilities before relationships have proven solid. My energy goes to those who have demonstrated consistency and genuine support, creating deeper connections with fewer people. The betrayal that once threatened to define me has instead refined me. Have you ever experienced betrayal that ultimately made you stronger? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe for more real-life experiences and lessons learned. Share this with someone who might be struggling to trust again after betrayal. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, sometimes losing someone who betrays your trust is not a loss at all, but the beginning of a more authentic life.